Hello folks, I'm back from Paris. I managed to avoid all the dog eggs on the pavement, insane number of those. And here are the in-stock electric car lease deals of the month for October 2024. There are some fantastic cars in here, a couple that we haven't seen before, certainly one we haven't seen before. And as always, there's a link to Lease Loco in the video description and a link to ALA, who are sponsoring today's video. By the way, most of these are 3-year deals with 10,000 miles a year, but there are one or two on 2 years, or at least one anyway. I'm not going to bang on about the first one. It's the Nissan Leaf. We've seen it around about the £200 a month mark for a little while now. 209 at the moment with 628 up front. Look at this. This is perhaps the best value car in this video, or certainly in the top two. It's insane. The BYD Dolphin 150 kilowatt design, 60 kilowatt hour, £256 a month and 768 up front, 265 miles of range, insurance group 33, 345 litres of boot space. Great little car to drive. Let's have a look at the dash, because we can do that now on Lease Loco, can't we? Ooh. It gets a bit dreamy. As you can see, big iPad thing in the middle of the dash. You can press a button and take that from landscape to portrait if you so wish. 0 to 62 in 7 seconds. And look at the price history. £373 a month on average. At its peak, 480, currently 256, and that is the lowest price we've seen on a BYD Dolphin thus far. That looks like a hell of a lot of car for the money. Rivals things like the VW ID3, which we'll see a little bit later in the video, by the way, for my money. MG4 is next. This is the second quickest car in this video for under 400 quid, unbelievably. The 0 to 62 on this is 3.8 seconds, and there's a quicker one in this video for under 400 quid. It's the X-Power, 64 kilowatt hour, 289 litres of boot space, insurance group 40, 435 brake horsepowers, 934 up front and 311 a month. Average on that's been 388, at its peak 449, and the lowest point we saw on it was £2 a month less than it is now. Again, fantastic value for money if you're looking for performance versus pounds. This one's difficult to beat. Cupra Born is next, 340 quid a month with a grand up front, 254 miles of range, 385 litres of boot space, 204 brake horsepower and 7.3 to 62. Average on that's been 464. It was cheaper than this just last week. It was 315 a month last week. But at its peak, it was 577, and on average, it's been 464. So it still looks decent value at 340 quid. Next, we've got the BYD Atto 3, a little bit of a sleeper that a lot of people don't consider, but they definitely should, because it's a very good car. 261 miles of range, 555 litres of boot space, which is very generous, 204 brake horsepower, 1100 up front and 362 a month. 7.3 seconds to 62. 393 has been the average on it. At its peak, it was 435, and you'll see there were just a couple of moments in time where this got silly cheap. But 362 looks to be fairly decent value on an Atto 3. Look at this one. It's the Volvo EX30 twin motor performance plus, 69 kilowatt hour, 279 miles of range, 428 brake horsepower, 318 litres of boot space, insurance group 40, 1100 up front and 376 a month. This one is a 2-year deal. Look at the price history on it, and then I'll tell you about the 0 to 60 time. £715 a month on average. At its peak, 784. And of course, this is the cheapest price we've seen it. And I say of course, and that's because literally a month ago today, it was £736 a month. It's 376. What a deal. 0 to 60, 3.6 seconds in a little SUV. That's bananas. Absolutely bananas. Nice looking interior on it as well. Quite interesting. Again, we've got the ubiquitous iPad in the middle, and it's all a bit minimalist, but you do have on Volvo and Pulsar, you've got your aircon controls, and despite the fact things are, fairly screen based, it's still very usable and not too much of a pain in the bottom. I think that's absolutely stunning value at the moment. There tells the tale, really. So if you're interested in that, please click the link to Lease Loco that's in the video description. It's how I support the channel. That one is a 2-year deal. If you go up to 3 years, it's an extra 26 quid a month. Now, if you're thinking of getting one of those, you must be thinking about getting yourself some gap insurance, and no better place to go, in my opinion, than today's sponsors, ALA Insurance. I've got a quote for that Volvo here that I've just run through for 3 years gap insurance. I've put in the code 𝘼�10, just like over here in this little box. Where is it? There. You can see 𝘼�10 in there. Saved me £14.32, and that's because 𝘼�10 gets you 10% off anything on the ALA website, I believe. I think it's anything. Up to £2,000 initial rental cover. They'll also pay up to £250 from your car insurance excess, because obviously if your car's written off, you're going to have to pay your car insurance excess. And it's 128 quid for 3 years cover. That's not 128 quid a month or 128 quid a year. That's 128 for 3 years. If you went for that 2-year deal, for 2 years cover, it's 122. Not bad, eh? So click the link to ALA in the video description, or just go to ala.co.uk. Make sure you input the code 𝘼�10 at checkout, and you'll save yourself a few quid. Thanks to ALA for sponsoring today's video. The VW ID3 Pro S is next with the Interior Plus pack. 347 miles of range, 385 litres of boot space, 204 brake horsepower. That's going to cost you $1,100 up front and $368 a month. If we look at the price history on it, on average, that one's been $612. Obviously, it's quite specced up. At its peak, it was $685. At its lowest point, it was a tenner less than it is now. So it looks like a good bit of value right now. Look, if you went for a Life model, which is the lowest spec version, that's 12 quid a month more. So this really does look like the sweet spot. It's in stock. I dare say it won't hang around for too long. Not a bad one to take a look at. Renault Scenic E-Tech Techno Long Range. This is a 2-year deal, 379 miles of range, 545 litres of boot space, 217 horsepower, 1,200 up front and 400 quid a month. 494 has been the average on that. 902 at its peak. Unbelievable, 902. That was only for a day by the looks of it. So I think more likely the realistic peak has been around about 550, 560, somewhere in that sort of region. Nevertheless, it's 400 at the moment with 1,200 up front. Hyundai Ionic 5. This is the sort of facelift of the Ionic 5. 520 litres of boot space, insurance group 38, 228 brake horsepower and 354 miles of range. All that looks good. 18-minute charging time. That's because it's based on that 800-volt architecture, which is amazing. These things charge incredibly well on a fast charger. 464 has been the average on it. 532 at its peak, and this is the lowest price we've seen it at £394. 0-62 on that one, by the way, 7.5 seconds. VW ID7 and the ID7 Tourer are exactly the same price. They're both fantastic cars that give you loads of space and are brilliant cruising machines. You can safely accommodate 5 adults in one of these. 605 litres of boot space, 38 is the insurance group, 286 brake horsepower, 373 miles of range in the Tourer, 382 miles of range in the Saloon, 1,200 up front and £403 a month. Average on the Tourer has been 514. Average on the Saloon has been 540. Stunning value at the moment. Brilliant cars. You can't go wrong. Link in the video description. Another blinding deal here on a VW is the ID4 Match Pro, 375 a month with 1125 up front. That's exceptional value. 349 miles of range, 543 litres of boot space, 286 brake horsepower, insurance group 33, 465 has been the average. At its peak 889 and at the lowest point 367. Currently 375. That's amazing value, folks. You've seen these discounts on VW at the moment because VW sell as many cars across Europe as many a manufacturer. They do very, very well. And obviously they've got to hit the zero emissions mandate target, and they're trying to do that by just discounting all the electric stuff as much as they can. Otherwise they're going to have to hold back sales on their petrol, diesels, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, etc. I think there's some really amazing value from the VW camp at the moment when it comes to leases on the EVs. Got the ID Buzz as well, look, 520 a month with 1500 up front. We've seen this one enough in the past for me to not go over all the stats for you. 596 has been the average on it, 830 at its peak, 456 at its lowest point, which was, if you remember, in December last year. It went silly for a couple of weeks, but certainly 520 a month is the best I've seen it in a little while, and it is a fantastic thing. Tons of room, brilliant to drive. Yeah, nice. Okay, so I'm coming over here for this one. We're looking at the Tesla Model 3 and the Tesla Model Y. You'll find in the video description Tesla referral codes. I've clicked on one of those and it's got me this price. The referral code officially is supposed to give you £1,000 off. Tesla have been terrible with their communication on this front, and I think it's actually a tenner a month off. But whatever, you might as well use a referral code. Someone's benefiting from it because they're getting a referral fee for referring you, in effect, and you're getting something off the car. There may also be some credit for you, Tesla credit at some point. I've got absolutely no idea because everyone seems to get a different story from them. But I digress. The Model 3 Long Range rear-wheel drive. This is the new model that's literally just come out. You can get this at the moment. I've had a little play around with this. And 1,500 down payment, 36 months, so 3 years, 10,000 miles a year. You'll see here on the Tesla site, it's got this include estimated fuel savings. Just completely disregard that. It's utter nonsense. They're trying to suggest that you're going to save 83 quid a month in petrol, but obviously that depends how you're charging, where you're charging, everything else. And they make it look like it's actually reducing your monthly payment or something, and it's not. You know, it is a factor. Yes, you will save money charging one of these up at home rather than going to your local Texaco and filling out with petrol. But it's a little bit, yeah. So 422 quid a month with £1,500 down will get you in the Model 3 for 3 years. As I said, that is the long range rear wheel drive. So that's 436 miles of range, 4.9 seconds to 60. Very, very good car. If you look at the Model Y long range rear wheel drive again, you're looking at 373 miles of range, 5.7 seconds to 60, and £449 a month. The upfront on that one is £1,548. Okay. Obviously, you can have a play around with that as well. For people sending me messages saying, here's my Tesla referral link, will you post it in the video? The answer is always the same, not unless you're a channel member. I don't mean a subscriber, I mean a channel member. My channel members get certain perks, and one of them is that. Cupra Tavascan 210 kilowatt V1, £472 a month with 1,400 up front, 353 miles of range, 286 brake horsepower, and 540 litres of boot space. Insurance Group 34. 696 has been the average on this. It's only been out for a hot minute, really. 974 at its peak. 464 was the lowest point it's been at so far, which I think was a week ago. Currently 472 with 1,400 up front. The Ford Explorer, they had one of these at Paris. I did have a look at it. I couldn't show you any footage from the Ford stand because they were playing Toto really loudly. And as much as I love a bit of yacht rock and a bit of Toto, I would have got a copyright strike, so I couldn't show you it. And to be honest, the rest of their stand, apart from the commercial vehicles, which are great, the rest of it I just found really dull. But this stands out because it really does look like a nice piece of kit. It's the Ford Explorer Select 77 kilowatt hour, 374 miles of range, 450 litres of boot space, Insurance Group 28, 286 brake horsepower, which might all sound familiar. It's because it's based on the same platform as a lot of those VWs. It's bang on average price at the moment, but you can get one in stock and it does look like a nice bit of kit. Volvo C40 Recharge Plus 69 kilowatt hour, 494 a month and 1,483 up front, 413 litres of boot space, 300 miles of range, Insurance Group 37 and 238 brake horsepower. 0-62 7.3 on this one, 603 a month on average, £801 at its peak. currently 494. Lexus RZ450, we've seen this one a hell of a lot recently, but this one's got the premium plus bi-tone pack with it, so you get a different colour roof to the rest of the body. 252 miles of range, 522 litres of boot space, 313 brake horsepower, 1600 up front, 534 a month. Average on that has been 673 a month with a peak of 892. For this spec and trim level, we've never seen that car for less than it is right now, and that can only be a good thing. Now check this out, we've got a Pulsar IV long range single motor plus. Those of you that went to everything electric would have seen one of these there without its rear window, because it doesn't have one. That's right, it's got a camera based system instead. 379 miles of range, 526 litres of boot space, insurance group 45 and 272 brake horsepower. 957 has been the average on this. 1900 up front and 653 at the moment. At its peak, nearly 1100 quid, 653. This is the lowest price we've seen it so far. They're a crazy amount of money to buy, and as you can see, they have been a crazy amount of money to lease. Currently 653 with 1960 up front, 0-62 7.1 on that one, by the way. Thanks for watching, folks, and many thanks to my members. Lots of new members now who are getting to see a lot of my videos a bit earlier than everyone else. I did one about big cars versus small cars the other day that I accidentally released at midnight, which is a bit of a nightmare. So I quickly removed it once I realised. That's now coming out at 8:30 on Sunday morning. At the time I'm recording this, that may change, but currently it's there. But members have been able to watch it the whole time, and members get access to a hell of a lot of my videos quite early. So if you're not a member yet, do think about it. Please subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up as a minimum. That really does help if you just thumbs up everything and subscribe. And please support Lease Loco and ALA via my links so I can keep the lights on. Thanks ever so much, folks. I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.